So they find like the mirror panels, I guess, that go on the bottom of the ship.
Oh, the for the heat
Yeah.
shields.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah, because when you're coming in from the near perfect vacuum of space and you're entering into our pressurized atmosphere, which obviously can exist even though the second law of thermodynamics totally obliterates that. But sure, if you're gonna go against the second law of thermodynamics, you might as well have some pretty damn good heat shields.
Yeah, right. Or I was thinking about the twins. If any of the twins would be found there, one of the missing twins,
Oh, because they all got twins apparently now. Yeah, they just
right?
didn't all not die. They just happened to have twins out of nowhere.
I think we have some delays going on because of the curvature of the Earth. So hopefully you can still hear me. Houston, could you guys boost our antennas up a little? So back to the facts, or all fact. You guys see behind me? There's a laptop on the wall. Can you guys see that? Okay, that's a map of the world. It's a flat map of the world, but that's a map of the world. And it seems like I trimmed my beard really flat or something. Anyway, I think we're having some that's some signal communication issues. It's not anything other than that. But
it's a digital artifact. Don't worry about it. It's a digital artifact.
It happens when you stuff from space to where everyone lives.
I wanted to say something about what you guys were saying about kind of like the abyss. I'm vibing with you guys big time because in the New Testament, it's one of the Pauline Gospels. It's not the four canonical ones, but they refer to it, the abyss, as the blackness, the darkness forever. It's just another conception of hell besides the burning brimstone. It's the blackness and the darkness forever, the abyss. Yeah. Is it Jude?
Yeah, that's in Jude. And, and it calls them wandering stars, and then it says they're reserved there in that blackness of darkness forever.
Yeah, that's right. And there's a song. If you've ever heard the song from Portishead, if anybody wants to hear, there's a good song from Portishead. I forget the name of the song, but they quote that scripture, and you're right, dude. The wandering stars for whom it is reserved, the blackness, the darkness forever. That's exactly right. Though.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that, like, I used to consider it to be maybe a different kind of darkness than like hell or whatever, but I don't anymore. And it, like when it says like in 2 Peter, it says that the ones that left their first estate, the angels that left their first estate,
that's the planets.
How does it work?
That's right.
They're under chains of darkness. They're imprisoned under chains of darkness. And I'm like, I don't know what chains of darkness are, but I know what darkness is, and it's the absence of light.
Like these luminaries are just the luminaries are repeating the same path over and over and over and over again forever. They don't have free will. Like if we were to say that these things are sentient, and go ahead.
The planets do something different though.
But I like what you were saying about the wandering stars leaving their first estate, and the conception of them as the fallen. We do name the quote-unquote planets after these demigods, Jupiter, Saturn. There's a lot to be said about that concept. And I do think the stars may be some type of, or the luminaries themselves may be sentient in some way. They seem to have some kind of life to them, to me at least. And there's a lot of, myth and lore that...
Go ahead,
dude. No, go ahead.
Have you guys checked out the Book of Enoch much?
I was just going to mention that.
Blew my mind in there, and it's on the same lines of what you're talking about with the planets, and like, what are they? Why are they, different? And they appear to be totally different than the stars. The stars are all doing this one motion, this circle, and like, I think that what we've learned in the last recent years, is amazing. What we've learned about what the sky does, or what I've learned about it. I never knew the things that were happening in the sky, compared to what I know now. And Enoch chapter 18, he mentions 7 stars that transgressed the order that was ordained by God. And so God was angry with them and bound them until judgment or whatever, or for 10,000 years or something like that. But so there was a prison for the stars and the host of heaven. And I think that's what darkness is.
Or there's water up there, and they're full of shit.
It's
right.
And
I think space is water.
It's a medium. It has like it doesn't.
Okay,
like
I was so I was talking to someone on the phone. I gotta say this, I'll forget it. So we talk about the waters above, the waters below. Okay, so when Earth was created, let's say, okay, so most of this place is, all of it is minerals, right? So I'm going like crystalline structure status, right? So we've seen how quick a snowflake can form like that, right? So and I know what people think about scripture. A lot of people get triggered and all of this other stuff. I take the meat and leave the bones from everything, okay? And, I think that there's truth, and there's also a reason they have it completely grabbled. And, like if you go back to original text, you can get some knowledge from them. So, but what I was trying to say is, let's think about what they said at the beginning in Genesis, 7 days. It wouldn't be that crazy to think that this place can be created within 7 days if it was like within a crystalline structure. So we have the waters being separated by this electromagnetic field. These luminaries, sun and moon, are created. It's separating the waters. So what happens is the waters below kept all the minerals. And that's what helped form this land rising from the deep, right?
Like a crystal.
Depth.
Like a crystal
would, right? Yeah. And that's what all these mountains and all this terrain, it was literally shaped within days, right? And then, so the water, all of this has the mineral, but then the waters above was separated from all those minerals that stayed below. And that's why it's so clear. It's, we don't see, there's nothing in there. It's a different type of
I like
water,
that, Austin.
Right?
I like that,
so,
dude.
Dude,
I like that, dog.
That resonates with me right there.
I want to bring it to a different level. I was talking about this lately, but what if it's all just water? Let's just take a little thought experiment here. They talk about the 7 heavens, right? So let's just say there's 7, maybe 7 layers above us. Well, here's what we know, and then we could speculate. We know that we have an ocean, right? That's water as we conceive of it. But we also know, if you go deep enough in the ocean, there's actually denser water below the ocean, if you've ever seen it. They can't even get a submarine down into it. So here's my point, Austin.
We're within a medium now. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
You got it, bro. Thank you. So we got waters below. We got the waters below the ocean is one density. Then the ocean, we know it's density. I'm just saying our air, we call it air because we live in it. It's probably just lighter water. We have humidity in the air, right? So let's just conceive of our environment as just a lesser density water. Well, what if as you go up through the 7 layers of heaven, it's just consecutively less dense layers of water, and everything's just water? That's what I really think it is, man. I just think everything's water, because if you have waters below the ocean, and then you have the ocean, then you have our air that we call. All the old conceptions of ether and luminiferous ether talked about it as a fluid, watery-like substance. Some people believe our atmosphere was thicker at one point, and you could actually fly, almost like you could swim in it. There's a lot of lore and conceptions about that. Why would it be so crazy to think everything's just water, including the multiple heavens? We know that relative density is a real thing, right? We know relative density, how that works. So why can't it just be water? It seems like it makes sense to me.
Yep, contained.
I've never astral projected myself, but I know tons of people who I trust very, very much who tell me that they do it every night. The alchemists spoke of 3 states of this reality. We have the prima material, which is the reality that we experience, but they also talk about the astral and the ethereal realm. There's the astral realm and the ethereal. They basically said there's 3 different states of reality that we exist in here in this world. So the alchemists told us, to them that was obvious. And I think the alchemists were right. I think the chemistry that we use and the periodic table that we're presented with is completely false and dumbed down version of basically particle science. I think the alchemists had it right. They knew there was an ether. They knew ether was the fifth element. You had air, water, earth, spirit, and ether. They had all five of them, and I think they were correct. I think they had to destroy the concept of ether to hide the existence of God or consciousness, whatever you want to call it. And I think they destroyed ether, came up with this bullshit Einsteinian physics, special relativity, which makes no sense. You know, not only to in some way try to justify their bullshit heliocentric model, but I think it was also an attempt to kill ether. You take ether away and it changes this whole place. I think ether is the unifying force. They say we have 4 unifying forces. I said this last week, I'll say it again. They tell us we have 4 unifying forces: electromagnetism, gravity, strong nuclear force, and weak nuclear force. Electromagnetism is the only demonstrable force that there is in this world. But I don't think electromagnetism is the unifying force. I think the unifying force is ether. I think ether is what bonds particles. I only think there's a speed of, I do think light has a speed, but only in the conception that we have it. So if you look at light as the visual, the part that we perceive with our visual acuity, the part of the electromagnetic spectrum, the bandwidth that we perceive, we call that light. But I think there's a different kind of light. I think there's a kind of light that, so it wouldn't burn your eyes if you saw it. And I think that's what ether is. And I think that's what binds this whole realm, binds particles. I know there's methods you can use. It's like you can train yourself to, like, as you're falling asleep, if you can hold your hand up in the air, and then the moment where you're falling asleep, your hand drops. It's something about identifying that moment where you're slipping into sleep, right? There's methods that you can use. So I agree with you. From what I hear, you can train yourself. It's apparently it's ability that everybody has. It's not even like a special ability apparently. So
if you are dreaming, I'm going to go ahead and issue this statement that I'm sure some people would like to challenge it, but I mean, if you really think about it, I think you might have a hard time, because I think that if you are dreaming, which I think we always are, if you hit that REM state, I mean, you do dream. It's just a matter of if you remember it or not. But I think that if you are having a dream, your mind, your consciousness is trying to teach you something. And so it's really, really good to pay attention. Sometimes people have reoccurring dreams, and I think those are the most important to pay attention to, because that's like you're not getting something and it's trying to tell you before it's too late. And there's no harsher teacher like the world, but the second best teacher is going to be your thought process. And when you let yourself go, sit back and you just let your unconscious mind go, it can see things that you may not be paying attention to. So when I was messing with lucid dreams, one of the things that I would often do is I would go talk to the people that I would run into, and in doing so I learned that every single living thing that was in my dream, every single living person, was actually a piece of me. It was a split of my ego. And that's why I wouldn't get, that's one of the things that actually helped me do it, because I'd work myself up whenever I'd start to realize that I'm in a dream. And this is something that a lot of people struggle with. When they realize that they're becoming aware and that they're in a dream, they'll get too excited and they'll wake themselves up. And this was something that I did constantly. And so what my brain kind of did was it split my psyche off in all these different little parts, into where I was pretty much just in observation mode. And
I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing at the comment. I'm not laughing at you, bro. I'm loving what you're saying. I'm laughing at the comment from my buddy Tommy. That's all.
For sure. I can see it too.
Yeah.
But yeah. So
Tommy, your gravity bong. Tommy smokes a gravity bong. So Tommy proves the globe every time he smokes. That's what I tell him, because it's a
gravity
density buoyancy bong.
Yeah, you got to change
entropy bong. Entropy bong.
My friend who astral projects. I was gonna say you're right
in the front row.
It's hilarious. My friend who astral projects, she tells me that everybody astral projects. Nice. She tells me that she sees like other souls out there, but they're kind of wandering around in a zombie-like state. So her theory is everybody goes to the astral when they dream. It's just only certain people are conscious of it. She says she sees these people wandering around like almost like sleepwalking in the astral. That's what she explained to me. But
My
I
only
don't know.
issue
All right, so
if that was the case, then where would people be when they dream? You know,
Because when you're saying dream, you're more in the ethereal, right? Is that what you're saying? Because somebody told me dream, you go in the ethereal, and then the
That's
astral
what.
is when you're conscious,
Yeah, that's
right?
what I think.
but what I wanted to ask really quick before I forget, I tend to think that maybe like myself, Austin, the name given to me, myself with my children, my wife, what I'm doing, all of this is not going to come with me into the afterlife, right? I think Austin is going to stay here. And when I said that on one of these streams, you mentioned in the chat that unless you do this like muscle memory technique, that you could, pass the veil of forgetfulness and still remember who you are. And then I had somebody in a comment section, shout out to Bill, if you're still listening, but he mentioned something about scripture saying that we keep the name that was given to us, but I don't think that's going to come with me, because my idea is if I'm going to the afterlife to heaven, and I still know that my family is going to be here in this realm, which can be a shithole realm without, I want to protect my family, right? So I don't
Yeah,
see myself really being at peace in heaven, knowing that my family is
yeah.
here in the realm.
And where the defeating death, keeping ego comes in, definitely you can separate the animating principle, the thing that makes our living body alive, from the mental aspect, from the ego, the thing that actually allows you to think and be you. And so I think that if you practice your muscle memory, which is what I think the people with the elite are doing up at the top. I think that they just reincarnate themselves over and over again because they'll die, they'll be in spirit, and then they'll manifest from this area a whole entire another life because you can just think about it. And then everything that happens in the astral slowly becomes real in the physical. That's why you hear things in the Bible like the things in the heaven are or the things on earth are but shadows of the things in the spirit. So the things I think they just manifest a whole nother life and then they just reincarnate back into their own
Do you
bloodline.
think
And
it's a bloodline thing? Do you think there's something, let's call it hereditary, that enables
oh,
them to live these, let's call them sequential lives or whatever you want to call them?
it's not even just them; it's everybody. We are all our ancestors. If you could get some photos of what your great grandparents look like,
Bro,
you
I
will
look
see.
identical to my grandfather, to
I
my
am.
mom's
Wow.
dad, and he died in his 30s, right? When she was young. And there's pictures of
Wow.
him in his 20s. I look just like him in my 20s, like identical. I still look like him, Like it's
So
wild.
Wow.
So, and also tend to think that we're all, especially because the world is in crisis right now. I think that our souls have given us a mission. This is where I say we step off into La Laville. I think that we keep coming back because we still haven't shut the controls completely and found the balance between the chaos and order, which is
Can
what
I
it's
ask,
really about.
can I ask you something? Do you think there's certain souls here on this earth, in this world, that chose to come back for this time, like on a
Yeah.
mission? Like they voluntarily came in, not they were trapped. Like they came in, like they called like the crystalline or the indigo spirits, the rainbow
Oh, the
people.
Indigo Kids.
Yeah,
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 yeah.
like
Like
just spirits.
they came on a mission and knowing that they would go through the veil of forgetfulness and would come in here forgetting everything. But their goal was to
Exactly.
remember
The
and
veil of
to
I actually take another meaning from the veil of forgetfulness just so that y'all understand where I come from with that. I think that that's what happens when you're actually born again, like literally. If when you reincarnate and you have like the mind of a child again, of a newborn baby, it's just how do you hang on to your memories through that? You
right.
have the ability to. So, but you set yourself up when you're in the astral before that happens. So yeah, I think that that is I definitely think that that's a thing that people are setting themselves up on a mission.
Oh,
And I think that
reincarnation sounds like a nightmare to me. The nightmare is getting thrown back in here and not remembering anything. Like if they call it a test, so we're gonna study for the test, but then they take all of our notes and everything away from us and wipe our memory. And then here we go. We're doing all again. What was the point of studying for the whole test if we're not going to remember?
Yeah,
That's
maybe
the
there is no
nightmare.
point. Maybe
You know,
they're just recycling us back to use our energy, bro. Maybe there's no point. Maybe they're just using our energy over and over again, bro. There wouldn't be a point. The point is just to use our energy. You know, it's possible.
There was
possible.
There was a Star Trek episode that actually touched on that. There was like this lady was dying on this in the spaceship, she was dying on a distant planet, and she was having this vision that she was talking to her father, and her father, she realized that it wasn't really her father, and he was like, "Well, I take this form." It's where that thing comes from. It's like, "I take this form that's most pleasing to you, so you'd understand." She sees through it, and she's like, "No, I'm not going with you to the other side." He's telling her that she's dying. And he's like, "Well, this is what we do to make it easier for you for the transition to pass on into the afterlife." And she's like, "No, I'm not going with you." And ultimately they end up waking her up. But on her way out, the alien says something really, really interesting. He says, "One day you will step into my matrix, and you will nourish me for a long time."
Well, that's dark. Yeah, it's like an archon. It's like an archon representation, really. It's goes back to the archons of demiurge, that conception there. The
reptiles. This has been a great stream. I'm really enjoying these critical thinking smoke sessions. These are fun. Oh, I still got this.
Yeah.
Let me get this.
This is cool, dude. This is cool. This is cool vibes, dude.
Yeah, it's a great little place. People come on, chill. You know what I'm saying? Spread some gravy. This has been great conversations, man.
Yeah, I was just telling somebody the other day, because there's a lot of different kind of truthers, right, Austin? There's all kinds of flavors of truthers, and sometimes I go some places and I make the faulty assumption that everybody's like a flat earther. I'll be in some chats, and what I'm trying to say is, like, I love being in places where I know it's all flat earthers or people who are at least into it. It's just such a different vibe. It's like, it's the highest level vibe I think you can find. It just really is, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like I had a good time on here last week when like Harmon came on and all those other guys and stuff, and it's just,
yeah, man, that was a good conversation. That was fun. I really enjoyed that, man.
Yeah, the thing about the flat Earth, when you wake up to it, is that it's such a unifying thing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, flat earther to me is not a bad term. I don't see it as like something bad. I embrace it. I'm like, yeah, I'm a flat earther. I'm proud of it. You know what I mean? I don't, I'm proud of it to say it. So I embrace the term. But it's just a vibe when you get like I've never been to any, like, we've had small flat earth meetups, like where I live, like in New Jersey and stuff. We've had, like, I'd never been to a big one, but even the one I went to, there was like 5 of us there, and it was such a diverse group of people. But as soon as we all met, it was amazing. Just, we all just, like, it was like we're old friends. As soon as we met, everyone got along so great, there's just something about it, just something really, there's this unifying thing to it,
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Here, I would like to introduce to you one Mr. Walter John Kilner. As a medical electrician in the late 1800s, he would experiment with electrotherapy and writing extensive literature on the human atmosphere, entailing on how, with the aid of chemical screens, one could observe further into the light spectrum. Dicinium dye, the secret ingredient to Dr. Kilner's glasses.
What do you think about that? All right,
that's it probably gives him infrared. He probably uses that to make an infrared version, like, you know what I mean, Austin?
Yeah.
because you can use infrared to see into beyond the visual light spectrum. Because, like you said, infrared means below red, so that just means it's the spectrum of electromagnetic energy right below that we can see below red. It's like John Tolan uses that infrared cameras to do all his long range shots and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Right.
They're hiding all the
Yeah,
stuff
very
from us,
interesting.
Austin. They're just
And
hiding
there's so
everything
much in
from
the
us,
sky
dog.
that we can't even see with our physical eyeballs, you know? So there's just so much going on in front of us that we don't know about, and even with history and all that, you know? So I think taking a lot of these what we call truths or new beliefs or whatever, and just go within, like, how do we apply that to our lives and better ourselves, you know, and our life around us, you know? The whole psyop, I think, sometimes is, you know, you live a good life here and then you can go live for eternity in heaven, right? Well, you know, it's kind of like a psyop because we have the ability to create a heaven on earth right now. You know, if we can get enough people on the same page, we can create our own little pockets of heaven. You know, we can necessarily live out our best lives, you know, the best we can if we know the tools and the capabilities, you know, and the mindset. You know, we understand the idea that most of the stuff getting put on us is propaganda, right? So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, bro.
That's
Well, you
just
said
how.
propaganda because we can manifest, right? So why do you think they propagandize us to get into their world, to get into their system? Because they're using our manifestation abilities to manifest the world for them. That's what they're doing, bro. You're exactly right. You know, this whole world, Austin, might just literally be a projection of ourselves that we're experiencing collectively, dog. You know,
True.
our manifestation abilities, I think, are paramount in this world. And I think that's what this is all about, whether it's the globe lies or all the lies of science or all the lies they present us with history, is because they can propagandize us from the day we're born, and they could basically exploit our creative powers to build the world that they want. Because I don't
Mhm.
think they have the creativity that we have. I don't think they
Right.
have
They
it,
need to
you know.
hijack that reality, and, you know, they're
Yeah,
using our own powers against us, absolutely, and creating the reality that they want for us and for themselves, right? But once we
exactly.
realize that that is the deception and that whole wall falls down, that veil falls, right? The facade, it
We
goes away, you know? And we start
like the
realizing that we can, and I'm not trying to get all new agey on anybody. I know people like throw that out there, but it's just, to me, I think that's how I look at it. You know, they've thrown out all these programs for us to absorb and then turn around and regurgitate it out into the world with others, with friends, with family. They're doing the same thing. Everyone's fucking parroting shit. Even shit in the truth community gets parroted, right? So I feel like, you know, that's why you need to take all these truths instead of just screaming them out to the world. We all go through that phase. I went through that phase, but now it's more I'm going within and trying to better myself, my life, my family, people around me, trying to create this environment for people to come on and kick it with me. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, dude.
trying to do the best I can with who I am and what I got, and I'm in an awakening, you know? I'm not awake, I'm in an awakening, and what I think believe to be true now necessarily won't be the same in a month from now or a month ago, you know? This is a journey, and we're all in this together, and I just like coming on here sharing ideas because 'cause I'm not here to sell any truth, I'm here to I don't know what I'm doing here, bro. I'm just doing it, and I
You're
feel
like, you
like
know what you're
this is what
doing?
I'm supposed to be doing.
You know what you're doing? You're doing the same thing I'm doing, Austin. You're looking for
Yeah.
community. You're looking for community.
Yes. Yes.
You're looking for
For
community,
sure.
dog. Because here's what it is, dog. I'm gonna say it straight up. If you have community, you have everything. You understand? Look at the tribes that exist even still to this day. They're not on the system. They're nothing with the
Mhm.
system. The world gives us everything we need. The world gives us food, shelter, and health. What does the system give us? It says it's poison. The system gives us nothing. So, dude, that's what it's all about. Is community, man. Because Austin, I say the same thing, man. Because I'm on here doing my thing and whatever, and I sit and I say, why am I doing this, dude? Like, why am I
Right.
fucking why am I doing this? It's quite possible that this whole community might be a lot more than even we think it is. We might all need each other more than we might think. You know what I mean? At some point in this whole journey that we're taking on this crazy world, we all might really need each other in a real way. You know, because I think this whole culture is going to split right down the middle, and you're going to have people that are on the system, and then you're going to have the others that are off the system. And we're going to need to build economy. We're going to need to build health practices. We're going to need to build a whole infrastructure where we can operate and function. Because this conception that somebody's going to be a prepper, or you're going to go all live in the woods in a cabin, that's not real. Right. You guys want to survive what's coming, start building communities with people. The community is what's going to get us through these times, people. You know, I'm not saying prepping's bad and stuff, but you know, the energy right now should be on building community and building yourself and getting off the system, because you know, I'm pretty sure they're going to crash the system. They have to. Their whole Ponzi scheme, fiat currency, can't last. It's not built on anything, Austin. They got to crash it. Mm-hmm. So right. They're going to crash it. It's order out of chaos. So what I'm telling people is, you know, anybody who's clinging to the system, you know, you don't have to get off tomorrow, but just start in steps to wean yourself off, because they're going to cut the system off anyway. So if you're even clinging on to it out of fear, just think of this, dude. They're probably going to smash the system anyway. So, you know, get out ahead of it, you know.
This is a great show, 100%. I absolutely appreciate all of you being here, being a part of this. Thank you, everyone.